beast stalker, giant stalker, dragon stalker, crypt stalker, demon stalker, rift stalker, Gron stalker, crypt stalker, scourge stalker, wind runner. I'm a pony, elite skill hunter, a death dealer, a life stealer. That's just the cost of being awesome.
Welcome to episode 230 of the Hunting Party Podcast. I'm Darkbrew from thebrewhall.com and the Brew Hall on Twitter.
I'm Delirium from Thrill of the Wild, the Warcraft Hunters Union, and at Delirium Hunts on Twitter.
I'm Bendak from Eyes of the Beast, Blizzard Watch, and Bendak WoW on Twitter.
And I'm RogerBrown from somewhere in Greece and at Method Roger on Twitter.
Awesome. All right, well, today is Sunday, December the 13th, 2015, and we are broadcasting live on twitch.tv. You can participate in the live chat room where our lovely moderator, Alessandra, is there to take your questions. And we've got another exciting show for you today. The Legion Alpha is well underway, and since the last episode, I believe both Roger, you, and Bendak have now been invited into the Alpha, which is great. So we'll have some firsthand experiences to talk about today. But given that the only spec playable in the alpha right now is survival, that we thought we'd focus pretty much just on that spec and maybe go over some of the abilities, talents, and artifacts this time, and see kind of how they play out together. And Bendak, I know you've played it quite a bit, so we'll get a lot of your impressions of survival. In fact, why don't we start there? What are your impressions of survival so far in the beta?
Well, you have to keep in mind I never play melee classes in WoW, so anything I say about the spec, just keep that in mind. And it's, I don't know, it's like interesting, but it's just, I don't know. I guess I miss a lot of like the traditional like hunter benefits. Like one of the big problems I had with how survival is now is pet tanking and stuff like that. It just can't hold any threat. And I think I just kind of have to let go of that and just accept that it's not supposed to be that type of hunter. And the pet is more of just like a little sidekick instead of like your personal guardian, maybe, unless they plan on adjusting that whole like threat issue. But as for the gameplay itself, I don't know, it's interesting. It's just I'm not sure if I'm playing it right because the whole like keeping up your mongoose bite stack is kind of weird sometimes, and maybe you're not supposed to play like that. Maybe you're supposed to just build up stacks and spend them all at once instead of doing all this weaving business. But
so how high have you been able to level so far? Up to 101, 102? Or have you gotten there?
I'm 104 right now.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
But they don't give you any new abilities per se beyond. I mean, once you're level 100, don't you pretty much start off with everything? I mean, I know there's no talent tier above level 100. Are there any abilities that you get through leveling this time around, or are they giving us everything right from the start, or at least by the time you hit level 100?
No, you have everything because the max talent tier is still 100, and you do get some stuff from your artifact. Well, you get one on-use ability from your artifact. It's like an AoE thing that interacts with Mongoose Bite.
That looks very weird when you do it.
It doesn't look like anything, really. It's just like no feedback at all.
Yeah. Which one is this?
It's called Fury of the Eagle.
I was just taking some stream before I got the alpha because I haven't played it yet myself. But it looked like it started an animation the first like half a second of the cast and then just stops, like, and you just sit there and doing nothing. I don't know.
It's placeholder right now. It's like the monk punching animation thing. It's weird.
Yeah, so I mean, in Fury of the Eagle, I guess the tooltip says that what strikes all enemies in a cone, dealing damage to them. This ability is empowered by stacks of mongoose bites. So I guess it's something you want. Does it have a cooldown at all? I didn't really check to see.
No, it's no cooldown. It's just a channeled ability. You can keep using it, but it does more damage based on your mongoose bite stacks. So
it's the kind of thing you might want to wait and just, I guess, hold off until you either max stacks or up to a certain point, I guess.
So is this how many stacks of Mongoose Bite you have, or how much the buff of Mongoose Bite is?
The buff.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was thinking about that all wrong then.
I know, I get the stacks and the buff all confused too. Every time I write about it, I have to make sure to like
Oh yeah, I guess
specify.
charges. Are we calling the
Okay.
Mongoose
Yeah,
Bite as
charges.
charges and the
There we
buff
go.
is stacks? I don't know.
Well, I think the interesting thing about this is that it costs nothing, right?
Mhm.
So I think it's supposed to be kind of a filler. Like if you have no focus and you just, you use one Mongoose Bite and then you use this and then you use another Mongoose Bite stack just to prolong the duration of your stacks, of your buff without dropping it while your Mongoose Bites are recharging and all that stuff. So it feels to me like it's a filler, but because it's an AoE, I think it's gonna do really bad single target damage. I think it, yeah.
Yeah, the
Like,
single
I'm not-
target's really low on it. It's like an AoE filler, I guess. It's just if you're AoEing and you've used all your Mongoose Bites, you might as well use this.
Yeah, but what else are you gonna use if you are single targeting and you have no focus? Or
Yeah,
is that,
you
or
you definitely could use it. It's just
did you feel like it's you don't really go out of focus? Like, did you find yourself doing nothing for a couple of seconds many times, or?
oh, it definitely happens. Yeah,
Yeah.
the focus regenerates pretty fast, but you definitely have downtime like that.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's probably there's like another filler ability, but you can't use it in melee range. It's like this axe toss ability, but it's got like the dead zone, like the old school hunter. It's like 5 to 30 yard range. And I think that's mostly just there for like pulling, because it does like no damage. It's like 10% of your attack power or something.
Wait, are you talking about throwing axes?
No, not the talent, just like
Oh,
there's like a base ability
okay.
that does like no damage and it's free to cast, but it has to be in.
Hatchet toss, yeah.
Hey guys,
There we go.
we just got disconnected from Twitch. Just an FYI.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay, there we go.
quick, say something you're not allowed to say on Twitch.
Now,
Hunters suck.
all right. Hopefully we're back, but it recorded. I
Now
do
you're
record on
recording.
my side, so it should be
Just
good.
kidding. Just kidding.
Okay. But back to the pet thing real quick. I mean, because I understand that Beast Mastery is always going to have the strongest pets in the game, but I mean, how does survival now, the melee survival and its pet, compare to say the ranged survival and its pet or marksmanship when you choose to use a pet? Does the pet feel about the same, or does it seem weaker to you?
It the main problem for me is just it couldn't hold any threat, like no matter what I did. The pet itself, the way it behaves, is exactly the same. Another big problem I had was when I'm like using harpoon to get around, the pet doesn't come with you. So if like dash or charge is on cooldown, or you use it from 40 yards away, it's like the pet just takes forever to get to you, So, and if you use flanking strike, you kind of miss out on that pet damage because it's not in range. And that's something I found myself opening up with a lot because of that. The one talent that gives you a buff when you use it.
Yeah, so I wanted to. This was actually one of my concerns from the first time I heard about this. And I was wondering, like, what's your take on it after trying it out a little bit? Do you feel like survival just doesn't need the whole pet thing at all? Like, do you think it would be better if you didn't have a pet? As gameplay wise, does it feel like a nuisance? Kind of like it used to be when you were playing survival ranged. Like, oh, I have my pet. Oh, I guess I have to throw it in for the extra 5-10% damage that it does, my total damage. Does it have the same feeling? Obviously, it does more now with the whole mastery and giving you the extra mongoose bites. Like, it's a more necessary thing now, but does it feel good, or does it feel, okay, I have this as well?
Well, I don't think it feels good right now just because of those issues. Like, honestly, to me, like, I like having the pet there, but I'd almost say, like, take away its whole ability to taunt and have some other kind of damage mitigation, like the pet absorbs a portion of your damage or something like that. Just because unless they're gonna make it so the pet can actually tank for you, it just seems so. Like, I almost just want to turn off growl because all it does is every 3 seconds I get that loud boom, that loud sound that whenever you pull aggro, it's just
Right,
over and
yeah.
over.
Well, you still have the pet specializations too. Have you tried tenacity at all? And does that make a difference? Or, I
Oh
mean, I know
yeah,
you.
tenacity helps like because of the thunderstomp thing. But the problem is, okay, so you have feign death too, so that also helps. But if you're like, when I like level and stuff like that, I just like to pull a bunch of stuff. And I'm just used to being able to pull like half a dozen things or 10 things and just AoE them down while they beat up my pet. But this is like, you can't do that because like one or two ticks of your dots and all those secondary enemies are hitting you even after you pop up from feign death.
Yeah, so that's exactly what I also wanted to mention, that I feel like because you have the pet and you have the whole your pet can tank. I think that gives them like an excuse, let's say, gives Blizzard an excuse to not give you as many survivability when you're tanking stuff. Like compare it to, let's say, a rogue or what's his name? I don't know, a monk, let's say. I think it's way easier for them to just go in, get a bunch of mobs, pop some of their CDs, and just tank them and deal with them. If you have your CDs, you can do it. But what do you really use as a survival exactly? That's like, and if you say something, they'll say, "Oh, just use your pet. It can tank and you can freely DPS." But it just doesn't feel as nice when you want to just fly through the whole thing and just pull a bunch of mobs. And if you use your only survivability cooldown, your aspect of the turtle, you can't even do anything then, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's like deterrence, right? So I mean, it is essentially deterrence. I mean, it has that same mechanic
Right.
where you can't attack. You sit there and take a
I mean,
beating
I
for a little
guess
bit.
everyone is gonna try to get that legendary, what is it, boots or helm? I don't remember.
Yeah,
Where you
the
can
helm, yeah.
actually you can actually do stuff when you have that up. When you have the aspect of the turtle up, you can actually play normally. But what if you don't have that? I don't know. Like, I
Well, you
would
could,
love to have something like the evasion the rogue has. Oh, just pull a bunch of mobs, blade flurry, pop evasion. Then you can even, like, I don't know, prep and pop another evasion. Like, I don't know. It just feels like, oh, I can do stuff for a few seconds and I can, there's no punishment for it, for
yeah,
overpulling.
that's why I feel like the survival pet needs different. Like it's right now, it feels like a ranged pet slapped on a melee character, and it
Yeah,
just
exactly.
doesn't work. Like if there's some other mechanic to help you,
Yeah, we just
'cause
need misdirection back.
well, that would help. Yeah, but like BM Hunter, like they'll have no problem like tanking, so they're pet tanking, so they can. I don't know. It just seems like such a huge difference in like you said, there's no evasion or anything like that. So
Right. Yeah, I think maybe the only thing that could somehow help the situation would be like a spirit link between you and your pet. So like you split the damages and then you heal the pet as well, kind of stay alive, like some kind of cooldown like that. I don't know. So that it actually, even if it doesn't tank, it actually takes the damage off of you.
yeah, I think it'd be nice if they had some kind of mechanic like to enforce like the whole idea of like fighting beside your pet. Like if your pet is close to you, like 5 yards from you, then maybe it takes a portion of your damage, or it has a chance of like completely like um, absorbing one of your attacks or something like that.
Hmm.
Instead of having growl, because right now it's just all growl does is make the mob bounce back and forth between you and your pet.
And those are all good ideas. And I mean, and the big thing too is, I mean, having a pet should be a positive experience. I mean, it should be a positive gameplay experience, and it should kind of make it fun and be more than just like a overpowered dot and stuff like that. So I mean, if it's not working, if you're looking at your pet thinking it's a liability as you play survival, then I think that's something that they definitely need to look into and try and change.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
can already foresee the next expansion, not Legion, like next expansion. Ooh, level 120 talent. the lone tiger where you play without a pet. Some kind of bullshit like that. Because yeah, everyone is gonna want to play without a pet.
But one good thing is though, if you spend like all the talent points on your trap stuff, you can make Dragon's Fire Trap like super overpowered, and it's what I kind of use to be able to do that, to pull multiple things at once and kill them. Because basically, what Dragon's Fire Trap does, it's like a fire dot, but it makes the target confused for 8 seconds, and they kind of just wander around in a small area, and it doesn't break on damage. So, and the one talent makes it AoE.
Which talent is that? Yeah, there's another talent that can buff it, right? The Expert Trapper, is that the one?
Yeah.
Yeah. And also in the first tier, there's one that reduces a cooldown, so you can bring that trap down to 15 seconds.
And it can't break on damage, or
it doesn't on mobs anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's also some artifact points, which also.
And that's the one where
it's better.
Yeah, that's the trap too, where like once you get it on a bunch of targets, they can spread it to other targets as well.
They can spread some damage, but the actual disorient thing, you need to get that level 100 talent for that. So you really have to invest in that trap to make it like that. 3 talents to make it. 15-second cooldown with an 8-second like hard CC that you can damage through. So basically half of the time you can keep stuff CC'd. So I mean that's kind of maybe that's they're intending that to be the replacement for a pet tank.
Yeah. I was just wondering, like, how did you manage to like pull all the mobs on top of you? Is it with a hatchet toss? You just run around throwing hatchets at them, and they group up, and then you drop the trap.
Yep, hatchet toss, or send the pet into like a group of them, and it uses Thunder Stomp, and then I pull the pet back to me or something like that.
Just mount up and run through everything.
That's always yeah.
And so, so we talked about the pet. So, what else have you noticed about survival? I mean, is part of this sort of like just your comfort level with playing melee and not having played melee very much that you're noticing, or are there any awkwardness between abilities and things that you see need to be cleaned up or adjusted at this point? Because you figure there's probably going to be changes at some point here.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's definitely part of it. I don't play melee, and the more I play survival though, I like it more and more, because I don't know, it is really fun when you're just like doing 1 or 2 targets at a time, because you don't have to worry. Because if it's really easy to like my pet, like I'm used to like having keep throwing men pet on my pet, but for me it's just like, damn, my exhilaration, why is it still on cooldown? Because I just keep needing it. I'm not used to taking this much damage as a hunter. I think that was the hardest thing for me to adjust to. I don't know, maybe marksmanship will have some of that too, but who knows?
The thing that I'm worrying about is I actually want to ask, how does it like? Okay, so let's say you don't want to kill a mob which has a lot of health. You just want to kill a small mob. Okay. Can you actually do decent damage, like kill it quickly without bothering to use Mongoose Bite at all? Because I mean, Mongoose Bite doesn't really do much if you use it twice, let's say. Yeah, it really goes up a lot when you start going 3, 4, 5. Like at the start, it's just scratching the mob. So I'm wondering if you can. Because, okay, let's say you have like this big minion and you want to kill it, and you use all your Mongoose Bites, and then you want to just kill another minion which has, a small minion next to it. Does it take absolute ages without Mongoose Bite? Does it feel like, why don't I have something more sustainable, more, or is it still okay, the whole rotation without it?
Yeah, you kind of like, it has a lot of ramp up time, I guess. it's still a lot of your damage is dots and building up and ramping up the mongoose bite. For a mob that takes a while to kill, usually it starts with you apply all of your dots, and then their health bar barely moves, and then all of a sudden everything kicks in and your mongoose bites up, and then all of a sudden it just dies. So as for your question, without killing stuff quickly without mongoose bite, not really.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because that's what I'm feeling. Like, I feel like this spec will make a lot of sense when you're DPSing a boss. Like, it will feel good because you will think about it and you will use the mongoose bites properly. But to me, I have the feeling like it's gonna be kind of iffy. It won't be as simple as, oh, I Chimera shot, aim shot, boom, dead. Moving to the next one, aim shot, okay, it's dead. It will have this whole
Chimera shot and aim shot.
Right, yeah.
That's
okay,
a tough
yeah.
mob.
No, because now you don't have Chimera shot and aim shot in the same spec. I thought that was the joke. Anyways, but yeah, I don't know. I think it will be a nice. I don't think it's gonna be a good leveling spec. Let's just say that. I don't think it will be as pleasurable to play survival as it will be with other specs. That's
Yeah, when you're just leveling around killing stuff, you don't. I found I just stopped. Like at first I was like, oh, I gotta weave my mongoose bites in between my focus dumps, and I'm like, no, I'm just gonna run up to it and just hit all the buttons and just move to the next one.
Because usually everything fine for leveling.
Oh yeah, it is. For that, it's kind of like, I don't know. It does. It's hard to say too because I'm using like the pre-made character and the gear is really low, so it might be better going in with the raid gear character. But
what does it give you to start out?
You start with like 680 gear, and then you get more from leveling. But I don't know. You have a lot of buttons, but they're not like there's not like one giant button like Chimera Shot. So
yeah. Well, isn't flanking strike kind of that?
It's all right. Like especially that's another thing. Like
if you can get your pet to show up.
Yeah, exactly. Because it doesn't. Yeah. Flanking strike is it's the highest damaging focus ability. Well, last rate might be more, but that's a dot. So I don't know.
I was actually also wondering, does flanking strike deal a different amount of damage total, depending on if the target is attacking your pet or you? Because it's different who does more damage in those two scenarios. But the total damage, is it always the same, or is one?
No, it's different. It's better if it's attacking your pet or not you. It'll do slightly more damage.
Okay.
So it's the only point, as far as I can tell, of the that weird mechanic of your pet doing more damage is to pick up some aggro somehow, even though it doesn't seem to really pick up aggro. But
I really think that's a bad idea of how they put it. I think it could have just said, then your pet does more threat or something like that. You know what I mean? Like right now, so, I'm going to do less damage now. Oh, great. Yeah, like, I don't know. I don't like that.
I mean, on a raid boss, it's never going to matter. They'll never be attacking your pet, I assume. Maybe a few weird ads, but it'll always be on the tank. So I don't know what they were. It's an interesting idea, I guess, but in practicality, it doesn't seem to do that much.
Maybe they'll still improve it. Like I don't want to keep beating a dead horse, like because it's so early. But maybe they're still gonna improve the whole threat thing with pets.
Yeah, I mean that seems to be the theme of the spec right now. Is there's some neat ideas, and hopefully it's going to be better by the time it goes live, which it's still very early, as you said.
And plus,
it just feels very incomplete, right?
Yeah, and plus I've just been like leveling and stuff, so that's all the feedback is from. That's why I was so focused on the pet thing, because I mean, obviously that's not a thing in raids, or dungeons.
Yeah, but I think survival is one of those specs too, where they need to make it fun for leveling, because otherwise, people won't play it and they won't level as it, and then when they want to use it, if that at end game, they won't have the the same experience and they won't be as comfortable with it because they won't have played it all throughout the leveling process, whether you're going from 100 to 110 or even starting a brand new character and going from say 1 to 110.
Yeah, I mean, leveling for me is usually not fun, anyways. Maybe the first time, but I do feel like they have to make it sort of fun so that a lot of people play it, and they are not like, oh, okay, let's try it out. Oh, okay, it sucks. Let's just go to marksmanship for leveling, and then, why bother even switching over? So marksmanship deals just as good damage, so yeah, never mind. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was wondering about that with your Roger. I don't know if you've done that yet, but Bendak, if you've done the artifact weapon a lot, I heard it was about 100 whatever points to unlock that first trait. How much of that are you gaining while you're leveling? Like at 104, how much of the tree do you have unlocked?
I think I've unlocked like 4 or 5, enough for 4 or 5 traits, but you have to spend like 3 points in one trait before you unlock the next one in the tree.
Right.
So I'm not far in the tree, but some of the relics you get for your artifact, they can unlock traits that you haven't reached yet, but you only get 1 rank from it. So.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh
Make a
wait,
That's
dole.
the wind relic. The
Okay.
iron
Yeah,
relic,
yeah. I was
the
wondering
relic.
about how those relics, what role they played. That makes a lot of sense now because if you go to Wowhead, for example, they've got an actual artifact calculator. It looks like, and it's weird too. It takes a little while to get used to because it's the stuff is different branches and things like that. Just kind of all over the place. So it's a little bit hard to follow in terms of. Because you like you said, there are some looks like they're prerequisites to unlocking certain traits and things as you go along.
Yeah.
Yep.
do you guys know if is it gonna be so that you can just respec your whole artifact or not?
They said there was going to be a way to do it, but that it would be somewhat expensive or it wouldn't be free.
Okay.
I think that was the Warcraft devs Twitter account. Somebody asked that. They also said it would only be 1 to 3 months of normal grinding to fill out the entire thing. So I'm assuming, hardcore players, you're going to want it completely filled out before you start raiding, and just do that crazy grind.
Yeah, we haven't talked much. We can do that too. We can drop down and talk a little bit about, at least for survival, what some of the artifact traits are. And I mean, are you going to be able to get everything eventually? Is that the idea, or are you going to have to be like the old talent trees where you could only have a certain amount of points and you couldn't have everything? You could get certain things, and then you'd have
Right. Yeah. So that's what they were saying. Pretty early in the first tier, you'll have all of them filled out.
Yeah, and I if I was speculating, I'd say that so each tree has like 3 major artifact abilities or traits. And I'm guessing once you hit like 110, you'll probably have enough to get to one of those or something like that. So you can choose what one you get first. And then you just keep grinding and you'll have them all eventually.
Well, I know which one I'm gonna go for if I'm playing survival. That's for sure.
And which one is that?
The aspect of the Skylord, for sure.
Yeah, I was looking at that. Yeah, that's the one that says aspect of the eagle, and now also increases your damage by 30% while active. Yeah, that seems pretty much a no-brainer. Now, is that the final? I mean, there's different ranks of these too, correct? So
that's a single rank. Yeah,
that's a single rank. Okay. Oh, that's
all the legendaries have 1 rank.
Yeah, let me. Yeah. Just linking it on the chat so that everyone can follow the artifact calculator.
Yeah, I think from behind looks like it'll be useful once you get a good amount of mastery, but maybe that's one you can skip at the beginning when you don't have any mastery. That'll be as you build up kind of talent.
Yeah, I think the big problem with the survival artifact compared to the other ones is that it has a lot of talents or whatever you want to call them. I don't know, what do you call them? Traits, I guess. has a lot of them that just don't feel as good, like for rating, let's say, yeah. Like it
Right.
feels like, I wish I could skip this. And because I've checked, and the other artifacts. So if we just take the artifact for survival, you're like, okay, you pick your Fury of the Eagle,
Hmm.
then you have to pick the Serpent Beak. So okay, fine. And then you're like, oh, great, I have 3 options. This is amazing. I can just choose whatever I want. But then after that, your options are so limited. Okay, so you pick there, and then if you want to go for the aspect of the Skylord, you have to take the Exhilaration of Joy, for example. Oh, reduce the cooldown of Exhilaration by 5 seconds. Woohoo! Like what? Who actually cares
Yeah.
about that?
Right.
And
And you have
then
to spend
okay,
3 points in it.
right, and then you have reduces the cooldown of your traps by 20% again. The hunter's guile. Uh, okay, reduces the cooldown of your traps. Yeah, okay. If I don't feel like that's a huge increase in your damage, because a lot of the traps, they're just like, situational stuff. I mean, sure, you will use some traps, but it just doesn't feel as oh, I'm getting so powerful. And then you're going to get the aspect of the Skylord, which will be a huge boost. And then you're like, okay, that's fine. Let's check the other talent, the From Behind that you guys mentioned. Oh, so you have Embrace of the Wild. Oh, reduces damage taken. Okay, sure. Obviously, it's good. 10% less damage taken.
Hmm.
But it wouldn't be my first choice. Like if I had another option there which increased my damage, I would obviously pick that instead. And then you're like, oh, but let's check the next one. Harpoon's cooldown is reset when you kill or disengage. I don't care about this stuff. This is so situational. Like I don't know. I just want to do damage, more damage. My
Yeah.
my artifact should give me at least the option to skip the more survivability slash situational talent to go for the damages because I want to see myself on the damage meter. I don't want to feel useless
Right.
until I get the full artifact.
Yeah, I think
The
this is
Varshy
something.
blows sounds kind of neat, though. I'm just trying to think if you could use that to just sort of help bounce around from place to place. I mean,
Sure.
you could disengage
Yeah.
off a target and then immediately, latch onto a
Well,
different target. I don't know, but like I said, it's just that more seems like more fun than anything
exactly.
you could
And
actually imagine doing on a regular basis.
I think it might be something different as well because I don't know why it would have 3 points in that one when it
Hmm.
doesn't change anything. Like for example, if it said something like, "Oh, harpoon also gives you 20 focus or something," so you're like, "Oh, okay, so maybe I can kind of use that to, so I harpoon more to just gain more focus and blah, blah, like something." But not, right now, it just feels like, oh, it's just another thing that will do nothing for my damage, and I just spent 3 points just taking less damage. Well, newsflash, we're not a tank. We need to do damage to be useful.
Right.
That's
So
what
I
I'm
think
saying.
this is something Blizzard has been oddly pushing on DPS this tier. I saw one of the devs, I can't remember which one it was for the life of me, but they were complaining that people didn't like the Kazakh trinket, the one that gives you the world boss that gives you
Right.
20% avoidance or something like that. And they're saying that's super powerful. How could a DPS not like that? And of course, every DPS who plays the game was saying, we want to do more damage. That's our job. And so Blizzard really thinks, as far as I can tell, that DPS want to be taking less damage for some reason. Which I mean, I do. If I've already gotten all the damage, I can doing all the damage I
Exactly.
can do. But
Mhm.
until
Well,
then,
the
I just want to do more damage. The healers and tanks can worry about the other stuff.
well the
Yeah,
artifacts too. They got to apply to other aspects of the game, like soloing and PvP. So I mean, it doesn't bother me that some of them are. I mean, yeah, it sucks. You kind of have to go through them to get the stuff you want, but even like the one that reduces cooldown of your traps. I mean, that kind of increases your damage. If you look at the steel trap talent, I mean, if you're raiding, you're pretty much only going to take that talent because it's the only damage talent in that tier, and it's just like you're going to be using it on cooldown. So You'll just be getting more damaging traps.
Right. Yeah. I think the reason. Sorry, I'm kind of going backwards on the previous thing that we were saying, but I think the reason why this whole mentality of I just want to do more damage is because World of Warcraft has healers, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
If it was a game like I haven't played it, but from what I gathered, there was no real healers or there is no real healers in a game like Guild Wars. You kind of like self-sustain or something, or I don't know. Have you guys played it? I don't know.
I've not played Guild Wars.
No.
No.
But I think that was like, I think there are games where there's no set healer, but you just you self-sustain and you can choose if you want to sustain more or you want to deal more damage and stuff like that. But when you have healers in the game, like specific people to just heal you, then you're never gonna want and because the more damage you do, the easier everything becomes. That's just the nature of it. The more damage you do, the faster you kill the boss or you kill the ads and everything becomes easier. So you always want to specialize the DPS to do as much DPS as they can and the healers to do as much healing as they can and not like kind of wishy-washy in between both of them. That's I don't know, the principle of capitalism as well, right?
Right. And I think Blizzard knows that. I mean, because there used to be this concept of the hybrid tax. So hybrids, since they had so much healing and self-healing and stuff, they wouldn't do quite as much damage as a pure DPS class. At least that was the idea. I don't know if it ever really applied to all of them, but then they said, no, we don't want that at all. DPS or DPS, and they'll all do presumably the same amount. So Blizzard knows that people would never do a hybrid class if they can do more damage on a pure DPS, but they still seem to have that mentality of, people would rather heal themselves.
Yeah. And I think back to Roger's point is when you look at the tree, because obviously you're going to be able to get all these abilities, but it's kind of like you're hungry and we just want to go straight to dessert, but Blizzard is kind of making us eat all these vegetables before we can get to what we really want. It's like, just give us the cake already.
Have some kale.
And then I'll eat my kale afterwards. That's all we're asking for.
And I'm just saying this because, well, I think maybe if they, I don't. Anyways, I'm not gonna digress, but I think the problem is specifically emphasized on the survival artifact because if you check the other artifacts, like as I said, this artifact because it gives you 3 options at the start, that's why you have less options later on. Whereas the other 2 artifacts, it kind of allows you to skip more talents. You know what I mean? Like, you have more choices which talents you want to pick, which traits you want to pick. So I think it's because of the design of the weapon, how they made it, that it kind of limits your options, which I didn't like. Felt like, oh, sure, I want my acceleration to be faster up, but I'm going to first want to pick something else, and then I'll pick that. Instead of, and yeah, if you check, the only place where you have 3 options, all 3 options sound pretty good to me. Like, flanking strike, more critical strike damage. Raptor strike, more damage. Carve, more damage. So you have to pick out of those 3, one of the damage ones, and you have to basically skip the other 2 for a long time until you get the big ones, the legendary traits. So you have to skip the damage ones, but you cannot skip the acceleration one. That's just what I'm saying. Anyways.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I just looked at the Beast Mastery artifact, and only 2 of them are not damage traits. The rest are all DPS.
Yeah, and you can skip both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Yeah. And then traits, it's like a big circle kind of going around shaping your bow, but it's kind of like a circle. So you can avoid a lot more depending on how you go.
Although some of this survival stuff will change, because I can already tell you that the Exhilaration of Joy, that is an equip effect on the artifact itself, so that one will obviously change.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll put a DPS one on there, so you can get another DPS talent on your way to Aspect of the Skylord.
Now, have you gotten an artifact weapon so far? I mean, do you get that early on? Has that been enabled at this point in the beta?
Oh yeah, you get the artifact. If you're really quick, you can get the artifact like 15 minutes after you log into beta. It's very quick. It's just like a little solo scenario to acquire it, and then they just kind of throw you right into the main Legion story. Or no, you get your artifact, and then you go to True Shot Lodge, the Hunter Hall, and then you start your questing.
And I know you had a pre-made character too. You said, right? So you're not using any of your existing tunes for this.
No. So, like I said, that's part of my problem. Might be just the low gear. I'm just used to killing stuff faster. So.
Yeah, I was just curious if how they started, like, because right now, for example, Survival still got whatever ranged weapon you have. And I know they said they were going to try and, I guess, give us a weapon when we start. But I was just curious what that was like. But it sounds like if you're using a pre-made character, obviously you have a full set of gear to start with. I'm just wondering what the experience will be like, or what they'll do when you first log in with an existing tune in our Survival.
Yeah, I've been wondering that same thing ever since they announced it. Like that whole awkward period between 7.0 and Legion, if you're playing Survival and before you get your artifact. I mean, Blizzard said they would give you something, but like I don't know, how does that work? Like, do you just like go to a vendor and say, hey, I need a pole arm that's equivalent in eye level to my bow? I don't know how that's gonna work.
Yeah, and I mean, it wouldn't even need to be the equivalent eye level, I guess. It would just need to be strong enough to get you to your artifact weapon.
Kind of, but if it's weaker, then who's going to play it then?
Mm-hmm.
Until they get their artifact anyway.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I've been rolling need on that Mythic Manaroth spear. So you guys just need to get a better guild, I guess. They'll let you roll need.
Trying to think what else to talk about. Like, I don't know, you guys have any like questions or anything? Because I don't even know where to start.
Well, I mean, you mentioned the class order hall. Is that fully set up at this point, or how does that look?
It's really cool actually. It's it's very huntery. There's a lot of like hunter NPCs everywhere, and they're all like having like funny little conversations. And when you first get there, there's like some like big lore characters in there, like you see Rexar and Hemon Essingwary, stuff like that. And it's a pretty neat place. You like go inside and there's like on the walls there's like all like hunter weapons and stuff like that. It's a neat place. I don't think it's fully finished yet, but it's
Well, that's what I was wondering. I mean, visually, is it not look finished, or just all the functionality, or maybe there's functionality that you'll experience once you reach 110 and if finish the leveling experience. I mean,
visually it's probably finished. It's just the functionality. I'm not sure if there's going to be more, like, because they've talked about how there's going to be like NPCs that visit every week and give you different quests and stuff, and I didn't see any of that yet. I just saw there's like a map you can go to, and that's where you pick what zone you want to question. That's all I've seen.
I did want to ask you about the. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I just wanted to quickly ask, because I'm just lazy and I could have probably found out myself, but what are the talents instead of Thrill of the Hunt and Aspect of the Beast? Or is it like that in the game? Because I thought it was just wrong data mined, or it wasn't.
No, that's how it is right now. I think those are just placeholders until they put something there. Yeah.
So they're like this in the game. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I took Thrill of the Hunt and I just used a bunch of abilities and nothing ever procced, so.
Okay, yeah. All right, awesome.
And how are the gnome hunters? I mean, I'm pretty sure you've been able to play a gnome hunter, and with their mech pet. I mean.
Okay. Well, for the mech pet, you don't get a mech pet when you do the pre-made character.
Oh.
Yeah, you have to start at level 1.
Yeah, so I made a level 1 just to check it out, like to check out the mech bunny. It's actually pretty cool. It has like a pretty funny combat animation. It kind of like jumps up and does like a roundhouse kick. It's yeah. And I also went looking in like Nomergon and stuff to see if there's anything to tame, but
hmm
Beast Lore wasn't working on anything, and I couldn't tame anything, so I don't know what's going on. It must not be implemented yet, or I just didn't look hard enough.
So real quick, Bendak, we haven't really talked anything about or at all about the relics. Do you know if I haven't really kept up with that? Do we get any during the questing process, and do they work like gems where you socket one in and it's gone? I mean, you can't unsocket it; you have to socket over it. Is that how it works?
Yep, that's how it works. It just overwrites it. You get them when you're questing when you complete like a major quest line. So in High Mountain, I think I upgraded my relics like 3 times. So you get them fairly fast. Like in a relic, basically what it does is it increases the weapon's item level and then gives you a bonus trait.
Like what kinds of what's an example?
So an example would be increases your item level by your weapon's item level by 20 and gives you 1 rank of My Beloved Monster or something like that.
Okay. Do those have a chance to be upgraded into epics? Are they still doing that where they randomly upgrade quest rewards?
I've seen a lot of that for the actual quest rewards, but not for the relics. No.
What I'm wondering actually is, so they give ranks to the traits. So what happens? Like, are those calculated? I'm actually not sure how this whole system works, but let's say you max out your weapon. You get all the points in. What happens after that? Do you still collect more points and do nothing with them, or how does it work?
You
'Cause
can go
then-
above. You can go above 3 ranks. I think I read you can go up to 5
okay.
ranks. Yeah, but the only way to go
okay.
the only way to go above 3 is to use relics.
Yeah, okay, that's okay. That
Huh.
answers the question then. Because yeah, I was wondering. Oh, that's interesting. Because then,
So you might
It's
want to
gonna
save your
be-
relics until you have something capped at 3.
well, I think then it will be a clear. Oh, this relic is the best because it increases the
Mhm.
best trait, and that's what you want. Boom.
I don't think you
So
need to hold on to your relic. It's because like, say you get one that unlocks 1 point, you should still be able to put 3 points into it. Like
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
With the
Yeah.
whatever things. What are they called?
artifact power.
Yeah.
I'm actually wondering now, but you can change the relic. You said.
Yeah, it's just like a gem. You
Hmm.
just have to like overwrite it when you get a new one.
But does it count? Like if I have 2 points in the Raptor Strike one, Raptor's Cry, and then I get the relic which gives +1, can I move on to the next tier of traits? You know what
Well,
I
that's
mean?
that's a good question. I haven't been in that situation, so I don't know.
Because that would make it interesting with because I just moved on, and then I pick the next trait, but then I remove the gem, the relic, and then what happens? What? Because then it doesn't make sense. How did you move on? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I have a feeling they'll limit it, so you have to spend 3, like without the relic.
Yeah, that's what
Hmm.
I think as well. Probably. Yep. Okay.
So one of the other things that we got a preview of this week too, and I know you wrote about it, Bendak, was the Tier 19 armor set. Has everyone had a chance to at least look at that visually? And anyone have?
Yeah, it looks good.
You like it? Yeah.
I like it. I like
I
all
think I
things
saw it,
Sylvanas.
I liked it as well. Yeah.
I think it looks. I don't know how it's gonna look on like a dwarf or something like that, but
Mhm.
But it's silly on a couple of even the human males that MMOC released it on. It's kind of silly on them.
Yeah, the night elves for sure, and I think that the female it probably looks good. Definitely looks good in like female night elves, blood elves, and probably Draenei as well. It's hard to know about some of the
Yeah,
other characters.
I think it's gonna look really great on gnomes. I like the hooded gnome figure.
I like that it is symmetrical. So, cheers.
I was gonna say it's got the shoulders that are perfectly
Yeah.
balanced there.
Gross.
Yep.
Well, here's a question: are you guys gonna turn on your hoods, your helms?
Oh, I don't know. You get red eyes, right? That's the perk of the helm.
Yeah, it does look like it gives you your character glowing eyes. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I usually wear like goggles or something.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if I'm wearing a hoodie in IRL, I'll also wear it in the game. And you know, when the shit hits the fan, and I pull my hoodie out, I'm like, all right, let's go. Yeah, I don't know. If I want to creep someone out, I'll just put it on.
Now, is it
Doesn't-
clear which colors are going to be available for? I mean, it just seems like there's a lot of color variations for these sets, and yet,
Yeah, I didn't see which ones were which. But I assume they're doing PvP gear the same, where it'll be just or whatever they're doing with PvP gear right now. It's just like a mock of the PvE gear, but a lower item level or something. And so I'm assuming it'll just be a different color.
Yeah, the only thing we know for certain is that the ones with the slightly flashier shoulder and helm, that'd be the mythic and the elite PvP. I'm guessing the Sylvanas colored one will probably be the mythic one.
Actually, it's so funny because I was just doing a quick catch up on the whole Star Wars movies.
Uh-huh.
And I just watched the episode 3, and it just gives me
sorry.
the whole. Wait, what? Oh,
That was the best of the prequels, by the way, in my opinion. A lot of people
Yeah.
like that one.
it was okay. Well, some parts of it at least, but it really gives me the feeling of when Anakin, is. Oh shit! Spoilers? I don't know. Oh, whatever.
It's a
It's not-
10-year-old.
not a
It's
spoiler.
10 years old. I think
Hey,
it's okay.
if you haven't watched it until now, like, alright, just I don't know, there's something wrong about you. But yeah, so at the end where he's going into the lava place, I don't know what the planet is called. I can't
Yeah,
remember.
Mustafar, yeah.
Mustafar, okay, and then he's like, alright, or when he goes to kill all the Jedi and stuff. And then he puts on the hoodie and he gives you like the look with the glowing eyes. That's like exactly the feeling I'm getting from this tier. I don't know, like the hood, you can barely see the eyes and they're glowing, and it's,
So we need to
gonna
have.
mess some things up.
So we need to have a core hound mounted or a pet out. Is that what you're saying?
Well, to be honest, survival, I don't know. Maybe give a lightsaber or something.
I was gonna say one of those weapon glowing enchants on there, and you'll really have the full effect going on there.
Yeah.
Isn't there that one sword that's kind of like it's on fire? It's just like flames or something
I
like
think
that?
there's something like that in there, yeah. But yeah, I mean, these sets can be sort of hit or miss in terms of how they look. I thought they did a pretty good job here. It'll be and they haven't announced any set bonuses yet, correct? At least I haven't found them anywhere. I don't think they've done that yet. So
I hope not. I'm still overwhelmed with the theory crafting just of these artifact talents. I can't handle set bonuses yet.
Yeah, they probably have to figure out all the talents before they can suggest.
Right,
Or,
yeah.
So which one of the 3 survival artifact traits is the best? Which one do you pick? Is it the flanking strike or the raptor strike or the carve?
Oh, I don't have it all input yet.
Okay, yeah. Because that will be the interesting one. I mean, early on.
And it
We'll
also
have to
depends
pick.
on what your rotation is. So we have to kind of determine what your rotation is without any of these,
Yeah.
and then add these in to see if that changes your rotation to benefit
Yeah.
one or the other. So, yeah.
Because it's actually like, I don't know. Again, maybe you can reset it and it's just gonna cost some gold and whatever. But if it's not like that, if you need to just think about it and you don't just pick randomly, and then all is forgiven, then because I don't think you're gonna be able to get everything until the first raid is gonna be released.
Mhm.
If they follow the same structure like they did in Wall Roads, That was like I think 2.5 weeks after the release that the first dungeon was released.
Yeah, I imagine that they would stagger it again like they did last time, just to give everybody a chance to level up. I mean, obviously, like guilds like yours, Roger, you're organized from the get go, but others, it takes a little bit of time to get everyone back and leveling and get their characters up to speed again.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, I just looked at the spread. I just started my spreadsheet today with the actual damages from the data mining, and it looks like 10% of flanking strike is a lot more than 15% of raptor strike. But so it's going to depend on how much focus you have and if you can actually do many raptor strikes. So if you're doing, twice as many raptor strikes, 3 times as many raptor strikes, that'll be better. But we're probably at low gear levels, it looks like flanking strikes more damage.
I just want to bring up too about flanking strike that in level 15 talent tier, the animal instincts. I know last show we were wondering what it does, but so the buffs it gives you are like they're really strong. Like one of them. One of them gives you 40% mastery. Ooh. So like, so your pet has another 40% like chance or whatever that mechanic is, and one of them's 40% crit, and one of them's 100% haste. And
so the focus goes like crazy.
Yeah, and then the last one wasn't damage, just like 20% run speed. So every time you get that, it's like, damn it!
Oh my God!
Wait for the next one. You have like a
that's so miserable. I hate that talent.
75% chance to get a nice proc.
I'm getting some flashbacks from ICC with that trinket. Oh man, I'm the dwarf. Damn it! I want to be the Raikou. So how long do the buffs last?
It lasts for 6 seconds. So if you use flanking strike on cooldown, you always have it up.
Oh really? Oh, that's sick.
Something weird every time. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's actually huge.
I hate it so much. Too much RNG. I can't handle it.
Yeah, but I mean, that talent looks way better than at least improved traps to me. I mean, for raiding, always.
Yeah. And there's that Machnathal thing. Right. You get like 25% attack power, which is pretty strong too.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
And it's really easy to keep that up because you're using Raptor Strike a lot. So.
Does Raptor Strike deal steady shot damage? You know what I mean?
It's 150% weapon damage. If
so it's pretty okay.
Recalling correctly.
It's like your lowest hitting ability pretty much.
Oh
yeah, it's like the arcane shot of survival right now.
Okay.
It's just something
still better
you use,
than steady shot though.
Right. Just a focus dump. Yep. If you have too much for some reason.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just looking through the talents here to see if anything else was. So that dash talent, that extra 3 seconds, it applies to the initial burst and the secondary movement. So it's
for both.
Yeah. So you get 6 seconds of 90%, and then you get like, what is it, like 13 seconds of 30% or something like that.
I think it's by far the best one then. Why? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think that's huge.
Yeah. It's
What's
pretty
the
nice.
cooldown on that?
A minute.
Yeah. So I don't know. Post haste is still pretty nice, but
I don't know.
maybe not.
Yep. And then for the next tier, 45, obviously for any kind of raiding or dungeoning, you use Steel Trap because it's extra damage for just clicking a button. So it's then when you combine that with like artifact traits and talents, you can probably get that. Well, you're probably not going to take improved traps over those other two. So
right. Have you done a dungeon yet?
No, because every time I went in, I would crash. So I'm like, I'm just going to stop this.
I didn't know if the traps we had, verification they were working on bosses. I'm assuming they're supposed to, but not taking it for granted.
Yeah, it does. It just wouldn't do the CC part of it. It should still do the damage though. So I noticed on a couple of big mobs like Dragon's Fire Trap wouldn't CC them, but they still get the fire damage.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong regarding the traps. There's no trap launcher ability per se, but the traps are launched nonetheless now. Is that right?
Yeah, you don't have the option of just dropping at your feet anymore. You have to do that secondary click on the ground. Which I'd kind of like if we still had the trap launcher, because it'd be a lot easier when you're just using a steel trap on cooldown for DPS, rather than having to do that extra click.
Yeah, weirdly enough, I did find myself. I remember when I was back in the good days when I was PvPing, and I did find it sometimes easier to remove my trap launcher. Or no. Let me rephrase. So it was back in the day where the only trap you could throw was the freezing trap,
Yes.
and it was just a different ability. It was it's the freezing trap on the ground, and it's the freezing something I don't
Yeah, it
remember.
was freezing arrow is what it was called. I believe.
Freezing arrow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah. So sometimes I remember I would scatter shot someone, and instead of pressing the arrow one, because then I would have to also click on the ground, I would just drop it right there on my feet if the target was next to me. I just found it easier and faster. So, but other than that, I think like when you're raiding, it's really like you never want to drop it on your feet. So I think it's a good change for PvE, at least. Yeah, I don't think there's any scenario where it would be better to drop it manually, let's say.
Right. Although I guess it depends. Although with survival being melee, I mean,
Right.
you're kind of already there. I mean, whatever you're fighting is kind of already at your feet. I think at that point, so
That's true.
it might be a little bit more convenient from that standpoint. But I think you're right. As the range hunters, yeah. I mean, I remember the beginning of this expansion when, if you switched talents or did something, the trap launcher would always turn off, and you wouldn't realize it until you went to
Yeah.
drop a trap, and you're like, oh great.
Yeah, I had an add-on tell me if it was off, so because many times it would happen to me.
Yeah.
Yep. So the next tier is kind of interesting. Just the choices they're kind of like so different.
Yeah.
Sticky bomb. it's kind of fun because you like throw it on and you know that little bomb graphic with the timer on it with like the circular clock timer.
Mhm.
And it kind of like has a big ticking sound. It's kind of neat. It's just like a little extra CC ability that, I mean, I guess for PvP or something like that. Because in the PvE, all it does is like momentarily stops them from moving. It doesn't really like CC that much.
Doesn't it do good damage?
Not really. I mean, because it costs focus, right?
No. No.
Oh no,
Does
it doesn't cost focus. Never mind.
Oh.
I was looking at the throwing axes.
Hmm.
So yeah, I guess. Well, that's kind of weird, because that's just
Yeah.
like another thing. It's free, so you're gonna have to use it.
Yeah,
You
it
have-
was just because we were talking about it the last show, and I was like, well, I guess you pick this one because you're gonna have dead time, so might as well just throw one of those. Why not? But it also has spell power ratio. Like what?
That's
what?
got to be a bug, yeah. 'Cause maybe it'll do better damage, and that'll make more sense. Because right now it doesn't hit that hard.
Yeah. What about the other choices? Did you try them out?
Yeah, camouflage is it's nice because you got like full speed stealth now, and the only problem is you can't stay permanently camouflaged because it's got a 2-minute cooldown. But it's it's handy for walking around and stuff, especially now that like switching talents is so easy. You don't have to spend like those regions for them or
Tomes.
anything like that. Yeah, tomes. Throwing axes is it's kind of weird. It's like a channeled ability. It has 2 charges.
How long does it take? The channel?
Oh, gosh, I don't know. I think it's like 2 seconds or something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe it's
okay.
3 seconds.
So throwing axes is exactly 20% more damage than Raptor Strike and exactly 20% more focus cost. So it's not really a benefit. I don't know why you would take that over just using Raptor Strike and spamming it. I guess if you need ranged for some reason, maybe there's a fight where you have to stand out of range for, 2 seconds every 15 seconds. But
yeah, it doesn't replace Raptor Strike. It's just like an option for if you need to attack in range. But
right,
it also
but
has that.
I'm just saying you already have Raptor Strike, so what's the point of it? It does the same thing.
Yeah, it also has a restriction where you can't attack in melee range. It's like 5 to 30 yards, so.
It's just so weird.
I guess they don't want you using it in melee. I don't know.
Oh, I want to ask the hatchet toss. Is that like, do you have to stand still to throw it, or can you just run around and throw it mid-air, let's say?
It's instant.
Okay, that's good. Okay.
Yeah, well, it's pretty much exactly the same as the rogue ability, right? They have like a knife throw or knife toss.
Are you sure you don't have to stand still for those? Well, actually, I'm not sure.
I don't recall having to stand still. I don't know. I'd have to double check.
Okay.
Because I mean, like I'm telling you, you can't use it in melee range, so it's not a filler for your normal combat, and it does like no damage.
Range.
I think it hits for like 500 damage or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just for pulling or tagging or whatever.
Oh man, I didn't even think of that. You can't just, if there's too many players in the area, you can't tag all of the, you can't just barrage and hit everything in a 80-yard diameter. That's gonna suck.
Yeah.
Don't play survival on opening night, or you'll be one of those chump melees that you make fun of last few expansions.
Yeah, what about the 75 one?
Well, like I said earlier, Dragonfire Trap is like, it's a really cool trap. Though in a raiding situation, I'm pretty sure you'd always want Snake Hunter.
Yep.
It depends. It also depends. Yeah, it also depends what they're gonna put in Thrill the Hunt there. If they're gonna redesign that. But as for like soloing and stuff, Dragonfire Traps, I don't know, I just love that thing. Just the fact that it just locks them down for 8 seconds and you just keep beating on them. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, okay, so the level 90 ones, though, is the one I'm really interested, because did you try both Butchery and Serpent Sting?
Yeah. So, Serpent Sting is, I mean, works like it does now, except it's Carve and Raptor Strike. Not much to say there, I guess. I mean, I guess you take that in single target over Butchery, but Butchery, so say your last rate has 5 seconds left, that's what it'll spread to everything else. So it's based on the duration.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you basically want to lacerate and then use Carve right after that. But the problem I had with Butchery is like the range for spreading it seems so small. I don't know. I already like put some feedback in for that because it just seemed like it wasn't consistent what it hit. Like if it was everything only directly in front of you, or if it was a cone.
Wait, but it's not everything hit by Carve? Were there targets getting hit by Carve that weren't being hit with or spread?
Yeah, there was.
Interesting. Yeah, that sounds like a bug.
As for Mortal Wounds, I played with that a bit. It didn't seem to be proccing that much. It seemed to be, they don't really expose what the chance is, but it seemed like it was like 1 proc per minute.
It's horrible.
It's not very good. I mean, I think Serpent Sting is just way more damage than that, so hopefully they adjust that.
Yeah.
Huh. And how much damage was Sentry Turret doing?
Nothing. It was doing
nothing.
No damage. It was doing like 500 damage a hit. It's a really cool ability. Like, it looks really cool and everything. It's just, I'm gonna be interested to try it once they fix that, because it's neat to just throw a turret down. It looks neat. And I imagine you'd be using it a lot in raids too, compared to the trapper thing.
Does it look like the turret from Diablo?
No, it's more of like, it's more Iron Horde-ish, I guess. Yeah, Expert Trapper is just, I mean, I just keep using it because of what it does to Dragon's Fire Trap. Turns it into AoE trap. And who knows, maybe it'll be good for Explosive Trap for AoE, but right now Explosive Trap still seems to be hitting for nothing. Just like it always has.
Well, and if you're taking, and which one is, and are you taking? Well, Dragonfire's trap's a talent, right? So you're not necessarily going to take that.
Right. I mean, if you
So
didn't take Dragon's Fire Trap, then you'd have Explosive Trap instead.
Right?
Yeah. So yeah,
we
there's
assume at this point we'll
traps.
be doing Snake Hunter instead of Dragon's Fire Trap in raid.
Probably, yeah. Aspect of the beast, that has to be a placeholder because it wasn't doing anything. I thought maybe it would apply to Flanking Strike, but it doesn't.
All right.
Yeah, that covers it.
I think so. Well, hopefully by the time we get to our next show, they will have another wave of beta invites that includes like Delirium and myself will have gone out. Number one, and number two, hopefully they'll unlock marksmanship and beast mastery here before too long, so you can get a first-hand look at those and see how they're doing compared to survival. But definitely sounds like it's a more than just a new spec, but it's as close to a new class, if you will, than anything I think we've seen in a long time for hunters.
Yeah, I honestly think that survival is gonna probably appeal more to people who don't play hunters now than people who do.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's some hunters that are really looking forward to it, but I just have a feeling it's most current hunters would probably go MM or BM, but of course I haven't played those, so I don't know. But just coming from my perspective as someone who just plays hunters, it's kind of just not completely sold on it. That's okay, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's something that everybody's going to at least give a look, but the majority of people that are playing hunters now or that chose to play hunters did it primarily because it was DPS and ranged, and I think that combination had a lot of appeal to people and the pets as well. Those sort of three things are what draw people and keep them playing a hunter, and that melee is, like you say, a big enough change. I kind of agree that it might appeal to people that have always wanted to play a hunter, but maybe we're playing a melee class or something else, or just like might attract new people to the class, which is never a bad thing, I guess. Yep. So, all right.
Can I just mention one thing, or actually two things, real quick? I know we are not going to cover the other artifacts, but I just wanna. I'm super excited. I can't wait to see how the artifact of marksmanship. There are two things that I'm super excited about. One is the first one that you picked, the wind burst. So I'm really excited to see how big that trail of wind is. So for anyone who doesn't know, it's a new ability. It costs no focus. It's a 3-second cast, 45-second cooldown. It deals a ton of damage, which is insane. And it also leaves a trail of wind where you and everyone else just runs 50% faster. So I think that's really cool. I don't know. I just
so basically
really
all the melee have to stack on your marksman hunter and follow your arrow into the battle.
Oh, you could so troll your melee with that. Like, it's like, okay, all right, boys, we're gonna start 40 yards back.
But I also think this is really nice because it gives you something to precast. Yeah. You just precast that, because now we don't really have any of that, do we? So we'll have this. Well, now it's instant, but yeah, sure, we'll have aim shot, but it's still not as big.
Right.
And I'm not sure if you want to use it instantly, but this one you definitely want to use instantly. I'm pretty sure. And it's a huge cast, so you're basically getting one for free. I don't know. I think it's really, really nice for marksmanship. You'll start seeing yourself on the top of the damage meter for a second.
Of course,
So
hopefully none of the tanks want to pull with anything but a taunt because you're
oh
not
yeah,
in any threat.
yep. But I want to see. So yeah, the thing I'm excited about is to see how big that trail of wind will be. Because if it's really small, eh. But if it's like something pretty wide, then maybe it's also usable in scenarios, some fights, yeah, where you want to run across a room or something. So that's the one thing, and then I'm also super excited about the bullseye talent trait, which is one of the legendary ones, and it says special attacks against the target below 20% health grant a 3% critical strike buff for 6 seconds, and this effect stacks. And I'm wondering, does it stack infinitely? Can you go to 100% critical strike with this one?
That's what it
Uh,
implies.
yeah, so I can't wait to have the scenario where you have the boss and you have the ad, and you're like, "I stop at 20%, stop, don't touch it anymore," and then you just go up to 100% crit and you keep nuking the boss, and every 6 seconds you just refresh it, and then you just laugh at everyone at the damage meter. I think that would be really, really hilarious.
Right, and it looks like they're making executes very rare. So
Yeah,
warriors will
exactly.
have them, but pretty much every other class has had their executes wiped out. So it looks like this will be one of the only executes left in the game.
Yeah, because I mean, sure, it doesn't sound that amazing because 20% health. By the time you stack this up, the boss will be almost dead. Oh wow! But if you can abuse it, it sounds amazing. I don't know. I think it's really cool if they keep it as it says. If it's a buff on you, let's say, yeah, if it's not specific on the target, then there might be some scenarios where you can abuse this a lot. Anyways, that's just my two things that got me most excited about the whole artifacts.
While we're there, I just want to bring up the other one, that Call of the Hunter one. It sounds pretty cool too. It says Markshot has a chance to summon a regiment of fallen hunters to rain down arrows upon your foes. Like,
Oh
what's
yeah,
that
yeah.
gonna look like? Is it gonna be like a bunch of like ghost hunters like appear and just like throw arrows everywhere? They
Yeah.
could be pretty neat.
Yeah, the wording in a lot of these is just so vague. You have no idea what to expect, honestly.
Right?
You just have to see it to know what it means. But definitely, probably some cool graphics. I saw the graphics of the Rogue. What is it? Like the new spec, the what's it called?
Pirate?
The
No,
yeah,
that's not it.
pirate,
Outlaw. Outlaw.
outlaw, right? Outlaw. Man, those animation look amazing. I don't know, with how you swing your swords and stuff, and it looks like you're out of an anime, something. I don't know. This is
Hmm.
really cool. I'm really excited about the animations, actually.
Yeah, I really want to know what survival like. I feel like they've got some of the stuff now is just filler. Like it's borrowed from some other spec. So I'm really hoping it's going to have some cool spear animations that we haven't seen in game before.
Yep.
I didn't really talk about Harpoon. That kind of right now that's kind of a work in progress in all departments.
Really? What?
Well, it's just, I mean, like we were just talking about animations and stuff. Right now, it doesn't really.
Oh,
There's no like little like chain in between the targets, or and it kind of just pulls you like in a straight line to your target. So like
Huh.
if there's like geometry in between, you kind of just fly through it.
oh, okay. Okay.
So it is fun though to be able to.
So you
Is
don't
there
go
Every
up, yeah?
is there a line of sight issue at all?
No, it's well actually there were some weird things like sometimes it'll let you cast it and it'll like fly to the target, but it doesn't pull you along. And I
Huh.
think it's like a warrior's charge
Pathing.
pathing issue. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was gonna ask, because it, yeah, exactly. Because I'm wondering, like, oh, he throws it, but then what about pathing? Because the warrior it will just say you can't use it, it will give you an error or something, right? But
Yeah,
it
I just
won't
wasn't
actually
getting the
activate.
air. Yeah.
So now there, yeah, okay.
Yeah, so unfortunately it looks like right now anyway you can't like stand on like the ground and harpoon up to someone on the roof.
Hmm.
Because I tried that and it was just
I think that would be very hard to not abuse in multiple scenarios. So I guess it's a good idea to not have it like that.
Oh, but it'd be great for PvP.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Would be cool if you can actually also throw the harpoon on a wall or something and just pull yourself. Like, I don't know if you guys play League of Legends, like Nautilus, where you throw in Heroes of the Storm, the warrior lady, what's her
Sonya.
name? Sonya, right? You can just throw that and just pull yourself towards something. Doesn't have to be. I mean, we have disengaged, sure, but I don't know. Will just look cooler. It doesn't look like it. Always, yeah.
All right. Well, go ahead.
Sorry, can you harpoon to friendlies?
no.
Ah,
Oh, that would just be mean. Oh.
I really want to be able to, and it actually damages your raiders. I think that'd be a great effect. Good luck, healers. If somebody isn't wiping fast enough.
Cool. Well, we're very early in the beta process, and there'll be a lot more builds to come, and so hopefully we'll be able to talk in more detail about marksmanship and beast mastery and what they have to offer. But for now, until next time, you have been listening to episode 230 of the Hunting Party Podcast. I'm Darkbrew from thebrewhall.com and the Brew Hall on Twitter.
I'm Delirium from thrillthewild.com and at Delirium Hunts on Twitter.
I'm Bendak from Eyes of the Beast, Blizzard Watch, and Bendak WoW on Twitter.
Oh shit! Oh. And I'm
that's-
Roger Brown from somewhere in Greece, and at Method Roger on Twitter.
All right, check us out on iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher, or add our RSS feed to your reader. Of course, we'll have all these links available in our show notes.
If you have a question or a topic you would like us to announce on the show, email us at huntingpartypodcast@gmail.com or send us a tweet at huntingpartypod.
All right, stay thirsty, my friends, and remember to drink your dark brew lager.
Siempre prestar la emoción de lo salvaje.
Keep your eyes on the beast.
Ας ξεκινήσει το κυνήγι.
For Azeroth.
I have no idea. We have no idea what Roger just said. So if
It means let the hunt begin.
Okay. We are a multilingual show all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Life stealer, that's just the cost of being awesome sauce. A dues payer, a boss slayer, I rock out with my lockout Viper to cheetah to dragon hawk. No time to waste, 'cause I can jump shot. BM, MM, and SV. I can rock out any tree. Never worried about my threat, 'cause I've got FD and misdirect. Catching loose mobs in my traps. I never miss, 'cause I am hit capped. 'Cause I'm the hunter, not the marked. I'm the fighter, not the spark. I'm the kiter, not the kite. I'll top meters every fight. Raiding and cave dealing death. Just me, my gun, and my trusty bed. Now let's begin with Illidan, Osirian, and Gil'jadan, Magdamar, Asgalor, Gruul, Cthulhu, and Razorgore.